How you answer two questions will have a significant impact in your life, your family, and your friends. What are you preparing for, and how are you preparing? Hi, I'm Jordan White with Live Safer. I've asked that question in boardrooms, churches, living rooms, conference rooms, continuity of government planning sessions, almost anything. Not online though, not just openly to the public, on social media, open to everybody. Because I would much rather work one-on-one. I'd rather work in a mastermind group. I'd rather be having this conversation with you personally. But folks, let's face it, we don't have the time or opportunity right now to spend that time together. So I want to be in your phone, your living room, your computer, your office, wherever you're watching this video right now. I please hope you're considering those questions. What are you preparing for, and how are you preparing? If you don't know the answer to that question, I implore you to look back at your life, and that will give you the answer. The results you've produced in your preparedness will not lie. They'll be honest. What are your preps? Do you have what you need to weather uncertain times? And if you're not sure that you need them, please look at the news. If you don't want to watch the news because it makes you sad, look in the mirror and ask, how can the news make you sad? It's just news. It's just things. How it's portrayed may project emotion because the media wants to do that. But folks, the facts are the facts. The facts are that there's social unrest. The world has created $22 trillion in new money since the beginning of this pandemic, and there will be consequences for that. If there's $400 trillion in the world, you can say 22 trillion is not that bad. It's like 5%. So if 5% of your groceries, your cars, your essential items goes up, is probably not a deal breaker. That inflation is completely reasonable. I think I could eat 5%, but that's not the way it works. 5% isn't just unilaterally spread across everything. When our entire supply chain and how we spread goods across the entire world is disrupted all at the same time, and suddenly children are kept at home, businesses are shut down, businesses are gone bankrupt, our entire economic model has been shattered. The most important things that we need get really expensive. And all that stuff we don't need anymore gets really cheap. It's cheap because nobody needs it anymore, but what people do need is really expensive and it's hard to get. I've had 24 years in public safety. I started in fire and EMS. I'm in my second law enforcement career now as a patrol sergeant. In 1999, I attended the Counterterrorism Institute that was put on by Department of Justice and the Louisiana State University to train first responders in counterterrorism before there was this thing called domestic terrorism. I had the opportunity to participate in continuity of government planning to anticipate the worst case scenarios that could happen, and out of that I can tell you we do not have the resources as first responders to take care of a large scale event, especially if it involves the entire country, let alone the entire world, because we were just holding on, barely making it on the resources that we had to deal with the problems that we were facing. Because let's face it, our goal in local government is to be as streamlined and as thin as possible. Now we have decimated law enforcement budgets. We have eliminated critical teams and resources that used to serve our communities and stop gang violence and control guns and all these things that criminal behavior looked at and kept under wraps because we had these resources. They're gone. And we are now watching citizens tear their cities apart and nothing's being done. Not only is nothing being done, but the opposite is being done. So when I ask about preparedness, if you work for the government, that's a great question to ask. But let's not go there. I do not want to lose perspective and how those questions impact you and your family by getting distracted about who isn't doing what and what they should be doing instead. So you'll be as surprised as I am when I post these videos, but I will follow up with more information. It's because I believe it's the right thing to do. It's to get this off my conscience and put the power and the awareness in your hands so you get to make the choices that are going to determine the success that your family has in this time and what's about to come. This is not the end. September's not coming and the kids aren't all going back to school and everything's not going to just open back up and everything's going to be hunky-dory and maybe those that are unemployed are going to get more money than they made when they were working. That's all asinine nonsense that is helping us limp through. Let's look at the facts that matter. 2.5 million new gun owners in the last few months. You can't find ammunition and guns now if you want to. So if this is your awareness and you're like, you know what? Security is an area that I have fallen short. Because security is one of the areas that I'm going to talk about first. Not because it's the most important, but when I break this down, it's going to be because you have the least amount of time to do something about it. I'm sorry I didn't do this 4 months ago, 6 months ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or any other time there was massive warning signs in the world that people should be preparing. But the reality is if you didn't get your guns and ammo for security, if you live in a place where you can't have guns and ammo, then your swords or your machetes or pitchforks or whatever you're going to use to prepare for your taking care of your family and yourself and your home and the other preps that you do have, then it doesn't mean it's too late. It just means you have to do it differently. It means that it's going to cost you more and you're going to have to give up more to get it. I know a ton of people that say, I'd buy another case of 223 ammo if it wasn't $400, but not long ago it was $300 and I missed my chance. No, you didn't. It just got more expensive. It got harder to find. If it's not on the shelves at the store, it means that you get resourceful and you find it. There are people that bought more than they needed because they knew that there would be people that would need it later and they would be able to make something up. Maybe they don't have what you have to offer. I know a lot of folks who are really good at storing up things they're comfortable with. Food, fruits, vegetables. They've got a big garden. They've got all these wares that they're going to have. And I know a lot of people on the other end of the spectrum that bought a lot of guns and ammo and they said, well, I guess if I go hungry, I'll just take somebody else's food that didn't think to buy guns and ammo. Well, the reality is people are compassionate, they are caring, and they will take care of each other. When the chips are down, communities will come together, and that's the synopsis of continuity of government planning. Is when it comes down to it, we rely on the fact that human beings will be civil and they will care about each other and they will make it work, because we aren't going to have a fleet of jets, planes, tanks bringing you in food and medical supplies and instant shelters and everything that you're going to need to enjoy them. And if they did, the price would be too high and you wouldn't want to take them. So don't, and just prepare to take care of yourself now. So if you don't have the shelter that you want, you don't have the water system that you want, the food, the security, the evacuation plan, the communication plan, the route, the equipment, a backpack, whatever you think you need. When you sit down with your family and make a list, then make the list early, figure out what are going to be the hardest things to get, and start with those now. That's why I bring up security. We'll talk about it later, and I do a video just about security. But look, I get the whole prepper issue. It's the 4-letter word of the 21st century. When I say prepper, people cringe. They're like, I'm not comfortable with that. Or I'm a prepper, but I don't want anybody to know I'm a prepper. I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, I'm a prepper. I don't talk about it either. I get the stigma around it because, first of all, maybe you just don't want everybody to know what you have. So that's a good reason not to bring it up. Maybe you don't like the image that it portrays, that you're on a mountaintop living in a camper trailer with no running water or sewer or power or phone, and you're married to your sister and you don't have any interaction with the rest of the world. That's not practical. It's illegal too. But why would you do that? So there are images that have been portrayed. I came from Montana. I grew up there. I did live on a mountaintop. I tell people I was raised by wolves, but the reality is I was off-grid. I was homeschooled. I've been successful ever since. I've had 2 successful law enforcement careers working for the government. It's turned out just fine for me, and I don't have any regrets. I actually picked up a tremendous amount of skills, which was why I was selected to attend counterterrorism training, why I was selected to sit in think tanks for continuity of government planning, why I have been invited into bunkers and helped equip people for the unthinkable scenarios that we now face. So what made me weird as a teenager now is a tremendous asset as an adult. I have built a company around it. I have made money. I've made a reputation. I've had a chance to travel all around the country to help people write and execute extraction and evacuation communication plans. And I've helped governments come up with plans on how to deal with this stuff. Government entities. So let's just throw that one off the board. If you're afraid that by being a prepper that you're going to be cast into this little hick group of people that don't know how to talk and they drool and forget about it. Let's just move on from that. Are you worried about the image if somebody catches you burying things in your backyard? Probably, because you don't want them to know you buried things in the backyard, because what's valuable to you, what you want to hide, is also going to be valuable to somebody else if you ever need it. So it's a really good idea to keep some things close to the vest. There's ways to do that. We're going to talk about it in the future. If you're not preparing to succeed, you're preparing to fail. If you're not talking about this issue with your family, with your friends, then they're going to be left wondering what to do when the music stops. They shouldn't have to wonder. I'm not the know-all, be-all. My gosh, I'm only doing this because I feel it's the right time, and heck, it's probably too late. I should have done it sooner, but now's better time than any. There are people that have been talking about this online, on YouTube, on video groups, on websites for years. I enjoy watching them. I pick up great tips from other folks that are good at things that I'm not good at. So thank you. If you're a contributor and you're just watching me to try to make fun of me for something silly I say about how I talked about freeze-dried foods better than dehydrated food, and you want to leave me a comment to say how stupid that is, please don't. I get it. Everybody has their own taste. I will talk about what I think works from my practical experience because I have eaten it. I have been in the backcountry. I have been on SWAT for 8 years. I am a long-range marksman, observer / whatever sniper you call it. I'm a scuba diver. I'm a master scuba diver, rescue specialist. I'm a helicopter pilot, rescue swimmer, helicopter rescue tech, pilot. Did I say that? Yep. A basic, intermediate, and advanced law enforcement certificates in 2 states. It doesn't make me special. It just means that I have a different set of skills and background to draw from. I've had the opportunity to teach at the International Border Enforcement Team Training for the Law Enforcement Mountain Operations School. It's 7 days in the backcountry learning emergency medical skills. It's learning how to evac and extract team members, to find them if they're lost, to use tactics, night vision, radio equipment, to do those things. So it's not anything I'm trying to hide. They're skills I'd love to pass on, because I believe the time is now for dads to be teaching their kids, for their sons and daughters, for moms to be teaching their husbands important things about how to take care of themselves, for kids to be taking care of their parents and making sure that they're equipped and they're set up and they have a plan in place to take care of themselves, whether it's to shelter in place or get to a safe place. If you can't put on a backpack with 60 pounds of gear in it and a bandolier of bullets and 5 guns and trudge through the city to get to a safe place, then don't let that be your plan. You want to have a plan that you can actually facilitate and accomplish, and you can practice. Now, there's certain parts of your plan that you just can't practice. It's inappropriate, illegal, whatever. Don't do those parts, or practice them somewhere else where it's more practical. But you absolutely can sit down with as a family and tabletop these. And I say family, I mean that includes your close friends and your neighbors, who may be the ones that are going to come look for you, who you're going to be coming to. Your kids are away at college. What are they going to do? Luckily, not many kids are away at college right now. That's a perk. But if you have an extraction plan, they need to know about it. Where are they going to be? Where are they going to meet with you? What are they going to do when you get there? How are you going to get back? And have alternate plans. So I welcome the opportunity to take this on deeper. Please let this be a wake-up call to do something now. There's no reason to wait any longer. So just take action. Just talk about it. If you don't know how to broach the topic, send this video to them. Forward it to them on a link and say, hey, what do you think of this crazy guy? Here's a cop telling us to prepare for civil unrest, for what the world will be like without rule of law. Not because I know something that you don't, just because I watch the news and I see that city after city after city, what they surveyed, 283 jurisdictions, and half of them are slashing law enforcement budgets. There will be a consequence for that choice. You will pay the price for that consequence if you live in one of those cities and you are trying to live life the way you were living it before. If you have a plan to do things differently, you will win. Hoping that it's not going to get bad is not a strategy. It's a strategy, but it's preparing to fail. Maybe you should have bought some silver when it was $13 an ounce. Now it's like 30. Okay, maybe it's going to get to 50, and you'll wish you'd have bought it at 30. If you don't have any security and you don't have any food, going out to buy silver and gold as it's going up, seems a little bit crazy to me. If you don't know what to buy for security and you don't know what to do about your water and your food, then great, stick around. You'll get information from me. Please listen to other folks. You'll get great information from them. I recommend that you listen to people that have done it. I know people that talk about what it would be like to live off the grid, who have never lived off the grid. I grew up off the grid. I know what it's like to not have a flushing toilet, running water, or a refrigerator. And I had to learn things the hard way. If you stick your ice cream into the snow, it doesn't matter if it's 20 below, the snow will insulate it, it will melt. That's not a life-saving thing, but it's real, and if you haven't been there to do it, you don't know. So, come back, look around, pick up some books, take an inventory of what you have, make a list of what you need, and let's figure out how to do it. And if you have someone in your life who seems to have it together, who's been hinting about preparedness for a long time, and they're a resource for you, then ask. That's why I'm doing this video, is because people came to me and said, what do we do? I hear you, and thank you. Thank you for being curious. Thank you for asking the question now while we still have time to prepare. It takes time to build a nuclear EMP-proof bunker. About 4 or 5 years, to be exact. If you don't start now, you're certainly not going to get done. If you have other things that are more important to do those now. If you have the option to throw something in the ground, throw it in the ground. If you don't worry about it. There's other plans. There's other resources and options for you. So thanks for watching this long. It'll be a surprise to both of us when the next video comes out, but please look forward to it. And leave some comments. If there's something that I share that you want to know more about, hey, throw it in there. As you know, I'm scattered. I don't make notes. I speak from the cuff. And I will try to get to most questions that get asked. Thank you all, and be safe.